accident school or whatever, but he was able to do it up in New Jersey, and it was like a full Saturday and Sunday that he decided to find. But that it must be the biggest fundraiser in that area, and it happened in Hendersonville one more time, but a completely different circumstance.
Now, I know that you guys use Waze, so I don't understand how you get a ticket.
Maybe this was a while ago, but and John just has he gets like a New Jersey foot anytime we leave the keys.
Oh, okay.
He's in a
Okay.
hurry. Gets around. I don't know. Probably was. It probably was before Waze, but I don't. Maybe not.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, live stream so that we have this recorded. And I'm also pulling up all of the pages that I have saved for you guys. There's a lot. So, does anybody have any burning questions? Teresa, speaking of which, did you get situated with your
Password
password
manager.
manager?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Thank you.
What does that mean, getting there?
There's a lot of stuff there, a lot of old passwords that never, I don't know. I know they're not the right password, so I have to go back in and make sure that they are what I want them to be, or use the complicated ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But when you go to a site, you have like it automatically fills in for you?
Yeah,
Good. Okay. That's good. And are you using which one are you using?
the um the one for the Mac.
Okay. So is it called Keychain on Mac?
Yeah, I have the little keychains.
Okay. All right. Um, let's see. All right, I think I got all these up. All right. So, I know with Google Passwords, it allows you to do a password checkup. Does Keychain also have that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going on Scott's right now to take a look and see. Um, let's see.
But what I
Keychain.
can't figure out, all those complicated passwords that you never write down and it automatically remembers it. How can I get that into my pass as a new password
Okay.
for the different apps that I have?
Okay. So, um, when you use the password keeper, so let's say pick a website. Can you think of an example?
Amazon.
Okay. So when you go to Amazon, if you've already saved your password, then it's going to automatically go in, right?
Right, right,
And you don't have to do anything. You
right.
just tap on it and it fills it in for you. If your Amazon password wasn't a complicated one and you need to make it a complicated one, then what you have to do is go to Amazon,
Okay.
sign in, change my
Change your
password,
password.
right? When you change your password, does Keychain say use suggested password? Does it give you a suggestion?
I don't know. Does it, Terry?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So then you say use the suggested password, then it does it for you. It
Okay.
saves it. You don't have to do a thing. That's the beauty of it. Um, and I'm just looking here for
So I have to go to each individual app.
yeah, so what the easiest way to go through that, because it is kind of a pain in the neck, Morning Joyce, is do the ones you use most. And you
Yeah.
can do it organically. You can do it, today, whatever you sign into, if that's not a complicated password, then go ahead and just take the moment and, if you got one done a day, that would be a lot. You don't have to actually take the time to, block out hours to change all your passwords. You can just, for some of them, gosh, when I look at my passwords, I now have 455 complicated passwords in my Google passwords. And let me just switch accounts and manage this account. And 455. So if I look, for instance, at AARP, I'm not often going into AARP, so no big deal. But I can just look and I can go, oh, okay, yep, that's one I've already made complicated, so no need to worry about it. If, gosh, I can't remember the last time I went into Ace Hardware. So, and that's along, that one's not a complicated one. It's one that's complicated enough. It's a phrase that I created in 2022, so it's an old one, but it's not something that somebody would, notice. And, do I use it? No. I'm not going into Ace Hardware app very often or signing into Ace Hardware. But they will automatically be there for you.
Okay.
And if you use the suggested one, then it stores it automatically for you. Anytime that the question pops up, save password, say yes. That's to everybody. I'm not just talking to Teresa. That's for everybody. When it pops up, save password, yes. The answer is always yes. A lot of people, I think, I've worked with some people who say, oh no, I don't use those password keepers. Yes, you do. Because then I go in and I look and they do have some saved, but it's only saved for the amount of times that they say yes to the question, save the password,
Hmm.
Otherwise, it doesn't. It's kind of on you to make sure that that happens. But good, keep working through it. And like I said, don't feel the pressure of that you have to get, all of them done at once. It would probably take me a week of doing nothing else if I did it for 455. Terry.
Thanks to you, at a big party I was at last week in New Jersey, about 4 or 5 people didn't even know they had the keychain, or they didn't know they had to put something in there. Like, it was, and these were pretty tech savvy people. I mean, not somebody under 40, but just, I didn't know. Oh no, I save my passwords, blah, 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 their book, and also what you said is good, but that was just interesting. Just, I don't know how it came up, or somebody was making fun of something in a password, it was came up in a conversation, but interesting.
And I wish that Amy and Medina were here. I don't know where they are this morning, or they call themselves the calendar girls because they like the paper calendar. Keeping passwords on a piece of paper is useful if you never change your passwords. But if you change your passwords, it actually gets confusing, because then you don't know which one is accurate if you don't have a good system of going, okay, this one's no good, this one's good, and that happens a lot with people who keep their passwords on a piece of paper. If you keep your passwords on multiple pieces of paper, that's the worst, because you've got a scrap here, a scrap there, a scrap there, and you don't know which one's which. I have my little red book, which has passwords in it, and that book, the stuff in the back, the only use that those ones actually it's in the front because I work from front to back. The ones in the front of the book, they're so old. They do have one use though, and one use only. There are some programs, some companies that will say, nope, that's not your password. If you give us your old password, we can help you create a new one. And that's kind of phasing out. I haven't seen that very recently, but that was a thing for a while, where it would say, go ahead and put in your old password, and then we'll let you create a new one. And so that's the only use that those old passwords would be. But if you remember, when you've changed passwords, they would say it can't be similar. It can't be that similar to your old password, because sometimes I'd do the same thing and I'd make like one character different so that I could remember it. Now we don't have to remember them. And so no need to worry about it whatsoever, as long as you're using them digitally. The only things you need to remember are your master password, right? So if you are using Apple keychain for your passwords, then you need to make sure that you know your Apple password. It's only one though. Make it complicated, but it's only one. And write it down, sure, but you should change it from time to time. And then if you are using Google, for each Google account, if you have more than one, I have 6 now, you make sure that you have those passwords for that Google account. And I change them about every 6 months, which is very annoying, but I write those down because I have so many. I can't possibly retain all of them. My primary one I do because I make it something ridiculous that is not guessable, not hackable, but something that I would know because I do it over and over and over again until it's ingrained in my brain. All right, that was it on passwords. It wasn't on the agenda. What we're talking about today is AI. Welcome, Renee and Andy. And her hand going out there. So what I wanted to talk about today, because it is pervasive, I don't think that there's a single day that I don't get an email about AI in my inbox. And on both sides of the coin, the great stuff that AI can do and the ways that people are misusing it to gain data, money, influence, whatever on us. And so we have both. And I wanted to do a quick poll and check around the room and see, where does everybody stand on the AI question? Just go ahead and
I don't know
Martin.
anything about it.
Okay, great. That's a great answer. Who else? Terry.
I had a very love-hate relationship with it because from the day I, first saw something that I couldn't believe they did, like it wasn't Photoshop, like whatever it was, that it got fascinated. And from a class from you quite a while ago, I mean, more than a year ago, or I saw like simple things like what Maria did in the newsletter, and I had, oh boy, how many times I spent hours looking for an owl that sang Goodnight Moon, or I mean, whatever it be, but then again, I use it all the time. I use it to correct my grammar because even on like Facebook, I'll sometimes do that because, I just do it or make something funny. And even if I don't like what they say, it gives me a great idea of like just changing something in it. And so that's sorry. I think it's really scary what it can do, how it can make a picture of somebody, a politician or whoever it is, like doing something that they're not doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's what adds to the word. Sometimes you just heard that in words when you see this picture, and I saw it in the news, so it must be.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. What else? Who else has thoughts about it? Joyce, where do you stand?
Well, we used it, I used it once on, at a Zoom meeting to take notes. And it was kind of helpful in that, the person who was taking notes was able to look at it and say, oh, I missed that.
What program did you use to take notes?
Zoom just automatically did it. It kind of, took me aback. I think you had, it's on, I guess, AI Companion. When you record something, it'll do that.
I'm looking at AI Companion right now.
Yeah, and it just popped up. This meeting is being transcribed for AI Companion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess we'll hit okay.
Yeah, go ahead and hit okay. We'll see. When I pull that up, it says AI Companion that says stop AI Companion. And it says, I have 4 choices. Catch me up. Was my name mentioned? Are there any action items? And what topics have been discussed? So I'm going to do what topics have been discussed. And it's analyzing. It's got the little circle. Based on the meeting content, the only topic discussed was the AI companion system and its transcription functionality. The participants
Sorry.
briefly discussed seeing the AI companion pop up and its interface options. So until I hit AI companion, nothing was happening with AI companion.
Now, because we are named, our pictures are named, it will say Joyce Peckman said.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So we're gonna leave that running for now, just because I'm curious and I want to see what ends up happening with it. At the end, I'll pull it up and look at it again. I have been in a meeting where someone used something called Phantom, Phantom, I believe. And that was an add-on, like a Zoom extension that gave the best minutes I've ever read to a meeting. I mean, it was like spot on. And I think it's an add-on that was paid for by the host. But holy smokes, you wouldn't even need a secretary in an organization if you had that and all your meetings were Zoom. Even if you did hybrid meetings, whatever is being said would be heard. And that's pretty cool. So that reminds me of another negative feature of AI is taking people's jobs, In nonprofits, having a secretary is kind of, you're often just looking for a warm body who will take notes. But in the real world, AI does have the potential for taking people's jobs, taking real people's jobs, and that's a problem. Other thoughts about, we're kind of going around and hearing what people think about AI, good, bad, whatever. Linda, your thoughts?
I just think it's scary but I think it's been around a long time. I don't think it's as new as now they're telling us about it. But it's here to stay. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't clicked on anything that says, AI companion or Copilot. I haven't clicked on any of it.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I had a nephew and niece here visiting one day, young people and professionals, and they use it all the time. And they showed me how they write documents and this, that, and the other. And it was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. For writing capabilities, it does do a great job.
Betsy, that's what I've used it for mostly. I used it to develop press releases. I know other people use it to develop letters to like their government officials. I've used it also to plan a trip when I said I want, give me an itinerary with hitting all the high cultural spots with great cultural restaurants and reasonable hotels, and I'll get it. It's just amazing.
And so you have used those suggestions and it worked out.
Yes.
Nice.
And you can refine your requests. So, I put the first request in and I got it back and I go, oh no, I should have said this. So then I'll refine the request and I'll get something different back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My concern with AI is the amount of electricity that it uses.
Yeah,
Because I think I heard the other day that one ChatGPT inquiry is equivalent to I don't know if it was 10 or 50 or 100 Google queries. And so when people are using AI, especially ChatGPT, using a lot more electricity, even to the fact where when you say thank you at the end to ChatGPT, you're using electricity for it to recognize that you've said thank you.
Good to know. Thank you for bringing that up.
On
Yeah.
I
that
have a
note-
question.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sorry. What is ChatGPT?
we'll get to that. Good question. I'll write it down, Amy. Okay, go ahead.
So on
Joyce
that
had her hand
note,
up.
I just read that our president is looking to set up many small nuclear reactor facilities to generate electricity specifically for
Yes.
AI.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
then,
Joyce, we just had him reverse closing a coal-fired plant in Michigan because he feels that we need the electricity. And even though the electrical company was ready to close it because they were ready to phase it out because it's coal. It's
right.
not going to be phased out.
Wow. Okay. Terry, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was watching a TV show yesterday and they were talking about Chat GPT, that people, they were talking about young women were like asking, how does my makeup look? Or what can I, which dress should I wear? Or having these discussions with this person, not a friend or not your mom or somebody. And they said, so they all tried it and they said it was amazing. Like I said, well, you should change below your, the line or below, I mean, using a picture,
Oh,
Like,
okay. I was like, is this in
Okay.
live time with the forward-facing camera?
no, that,
With a picture. Gotcha.
yeah, it is a picture. So you with a picture and, but it was really funny. And then I got like sick over it. I thought that's another step away from, I don't know,
Yeah.
sharing things with your phone, sharing things with your phone that,
Yeah.
and especially if they're talking about 14-year-olds or 15-year-olds.
Yeah. Betty or Renee, anybody want to chime in? Teresa? Your
The only
thoughts
thing
on?
I can say about AI, when you call like a company like AT&T, it seems like they have somebody answer the phone that's like run by AI. I can help you. And, I want to speak to a live person and you have to go through AI forever, it seems like, to
Mhm.
finally, okay, we'll let you talk to a real person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that sometimes works with that is if they're giving you a list of extensions to call, if you
Yeah.
want something in this department, click this. For some companies, it still works. Just hit 0, and that will actually get you to a real person. Doesn't work all the time, but in many, many companies, it still works. Hit 0, that's the operator, and you'll get someone who can then forward you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
A little trick. Who had their hand up? Linda.
The same subject, I find that if I use the word representative, they will switch me over.
Good, 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 good.
But I'm
one.
going to try the 0. I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to try the 0 too, because when I use agent or representative, I usually get back, well, if you tell us what your problem is, we'll be able to direct you to the correct representative.
Like I said, it doesn't always work because that's an older trick, but it does work on some still. Renee and Andy, you guys got any thoughts you want to share before we jump into looking at some resources? And unmute yourself to do that. You can hit the space bar if you want.
I just think when you see photographs and you don't really know if it's real or adjusted, that really bugs me
Mm-hmm.
because, why go to so much trouble to do something like that? And then you're looking at it, you think it's real, and oh, there's no shadow here. It's just a
Very
hassle, I
bizarre. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually use that feature a lot.
think.
And I'll show you, I should be able to pretty easily pull up a stunning example of that on how I've used in Google Pixel, it's called Magic Eraser. It's an AI thing. As far as when we make a phone call, those have been around for a long time. And like Linda said, which I think was interesting, you said, I think it's been around longer than they've been telling us about it. Yes and no. Artificial intelligence itself is a very specific science that computer engineers have figured out a way to do something called machine learning. that when you do a repetitive action, you teach the machine what you're looking for, what you want, what kind of results that you want. And it's way beyond my capacity to understand, but in many, many forms, yes, Linda, we have been using that in many ways. I can think of right when the word AI came out, artificial intelligence, and talking about with Chat GPT, which is the name, Amy, of the first widely publicized artificial intelligence program. It's called ChatGPT. In Microsoft, their program is called Pilot. In Google, their program is called Gemini. So they're all just, different names for the same kind of product. Just like when we have a car, I drive a Subaru. Somebody else might drive a Nissan or, a Ford or a Mercedes, whatever it is. They're all cars that get you somewhere, right? But they're all different products by different companies that have different features. Same thing. So that's just to explain what that is, Amy.
Thank you.
You understand
course.
that?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're just different programs.
To chat.
Not to chat, no, artificial intelligence. The reason why I think that they called it Chat GPT and don't know what the GPT part stands for, but I can certainly Google that. If somebody's not busy and wants to Google what does GPT stand for, because in the technology world, those letters always stand for something else. But the point of it is, Amy, is that you can literally chat with the machine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to not do that for a second. I'm going to open it up first because it opens up a weird window on my computer. Okay, now I'm going to go to share and see if I can share that specific. Yes, here we go. All right, so this is Microsoft Copilot, and Copilot is an artificial intelligence program, and it says, because I'm signed into it, "Good morning, Betsy. What can I help you with today?" And then there's some suggestions. Gosh, I have never even used any of their suggestions because when I go to it, I want something very specific and I want it now because I'm busy working on something and I don't have time for other things. So let me move this bar so it's not blocking your view. Okay, so I'm going to say, let's see, what does GPT stand for?
I got it already. If you
That's
want.
okay. We're using this as an example too, though. Okay. Did you get the same answer?
I looked it up.
Generative pre-trained
Yes,
transformer?
yes.
Okay,
So I'm putting it in chat.
thank you.
Yeah.
So, and you all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Artificial intelligence model used to generate human-like text. Okay, and so then, and then it's literally talking to me. It says, "Are you exploring AI for a project or just to satisfy curiosity? I know you enjoy exploring philosophical themes. Really, maybe we could dive into how AI shapes storytelling. Interesting." So I can give it a thumbs up, meaning that was a good response. If I find that what it's telling me is not accurate to my knowledge, because there are problems with this, because it's literally combing through the entire internet to come up with answers, and it combs through true and false things. And so oftentimes AI, more so in the past, I think it's actually getting better, has said things like, they'll call it hallucinations, where it's saying something absolutely ridiculous because it was too young in its training period to understand what was accurate and what wasn't accurate and how to discern between it. Because let's face it, it's not human, right? And so it doesn't have, while it has amazing, amazing ability to compute and calculate answers and data, it doesn't have what humans have in terms of discernment. It's a different kind of discernment. The other thing I can do when I hover over here is I can copy this. I can copy this text and I can send it all to you. I can also answer its question. So I'm going to do that, even though I'm wasting gobs of electricity. I'm going to say satisfying my curiosity. And I answer it. And it answers me back. So do you see how this is a chat now? It says to me, I love a good curiosity-driven tangent. Really? Okay. And then it gives me some suggestions. I can pick its suggestions. Can you share examples of artists using AI in their work? How is AI influencing design and storytelling? So I can go down a rabbit hole and learn everything I need to know from an AI program about AI. So just for ha-has, I'm going to hit the artists. Share examples of artists. Let me pull that. There we go. And I click that, and now it says it's going to show me. Oh, it's not showing me. It's giving me examples of people who are using AI in their work, but it's not actually showing me the pictures, but it does give me 2 references. So I can go to both of these, either one of these references, 6 artists. So I'm still going down a rabbit hole here. It took me out of the Copilot, brought me to an article. Notice it says, artsy.net, and there's the address, but then it is generated by ChatGPT. And so then I go here and it shows me, I don't want to sign up for anything. It's actually showing me their art. And there's an article about how artists.
We're not seeing that.
Oh, you're not. Okay. Let me stop
Yeah.
the share. When it opens up, thank you for letting me know. When it opens up a new screen, for some reason, Zoom hasn't gotten smart enough to follow where I'm going. There we go. All right. So let me go back to the top. So it takes me to, let me move this out of the way. It takes me to this website at the top. And what I was saying was there's the website, but then obviously it sent me, the article was about ChatGPT. So there's ChatGPT listed there. And then there's the title of the article. And then I can see the art. I can read the conversation about this. This looks like this is maybe Australian. No, I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's just an article. I'm not aware of this company. And here is somebody who was born in Istanbul, lives and works in Los Angeles. They have this interesting art here. So, on one hand, there are a lot of people who are very upset, and I wish Gloria Avner was in the room because we could get her opinion on it. But a lot of people are upset because they're saying, well, it's not art and it's not something that artists are doing. I could argue both ways. I could argue both ways. When we were kids and we did paint by numbers, was it art? But our spin on it, if kids or your grandkids or whatever weren't using the suggested number color ratio and were just doing their own thing, is it art? It's kind of a question. When you use a kit to create anything, is it art? Or do you have to start with a blank canvas stretched over wood and go buy your own paints? I don't know. It's Joyce.
That's why there is the thing called arts and crafts. It's in one bundle.
Good. Yeah, good idea. Now, if I look, I'm going to go back to my little thing here, and I'm going to share it. I have to bounce back and forth in and out. So I'm going to get rid of, it's hard for me to get stuff out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm gonna ignore this entirely, and I'm going to say create a photo, and we've done this before, realistic image of a squirrel, of a white squirrel. We might as well, since we were talking with
Right,
Betty
I was just gonna say,
about her white squirrels, of a white squirrel. And I have to say, it oftentimes, many of the programs will not, they work really hard against bias, which is a good thing. It can also be very annoying. When I've asked for pictures of people that are diverse in nature or a particular age group in nature, it fights me a little bit because it doesn't want to, is particularly with people, it does not want to do people in a way that would appear to be racist. And so it'll say, I can't do that for you, and it will just stop. But a white squirrel driving a red convertible.
save it for Easter. Easter cards.
All right, so let's see what it comes up with. And then it says, hope it captures the fun and whimsy you envision. Let me know if you like any tweaks. It's kind of going slow this morning. Where is it? And I know it's still working because I can see the colors fading in and out and doing this weird thing.
Yeah,
It's interesting. It normally does not take this long. And I'm not sure why.
Couldn't find a white squirrel in its library.
Hasn't been to Brevard yet. Wow, I have to say I have never seen it take this long.
Mm.
All right, I'm going to change the query. Create a photorealistic image of a squirrel. Oh, there it goes. Oh,
Whoa.
wow, that was
Wow.
That was,
pretty.
I said it
yeah,
looked-
Yeah, that was pretty.
had to think.
It's very realistic looking squirrel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that he's driving on the right side of the car.
It is, but you know
Oh.
what? Look, there's a steering wheel over here too.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh.
so what I can do with this, I can download it and use it somewhere. And so, can you create a different animal in a convertible? How did you create this image? What are other examples of photorealistic art? So, here's my question. I am going to download that because I just think it's hilarious. And I'm going to say, just call it white squirrel. White squirrel, and
White squirrel riding a
save it.
red
So-
convertible in down Route 1.
It said I can tweak it, so I'm going to say, make the image on a background of the Pacific Coast Highway. Well, let's see what happens. Here's an updated image driving along. I hope it captures the scenic, adventurous vibe you had in mind. Let us know if you want any adjustments. So I think it's funny that it's actually now making more comment on me than it has in the past. It was very dry before, and now it's a lot more chit-chatty. Hope it captures the scenic, adventurous vibe you had in mind. That's very chit-chatty. That's like, it's like we're buddies, Not like it's just a tool that I'm using. So it's actually trying to be far more
And
human-like.
exclamation points.
Yes, and
Yes.
good point, Joyce. Oh, I wish this wasn't taking so long. I thought maybe once it got the squirrel, it's weird because literally it takes the times that I've used it before, and it may just be that we've got slow internet today, or maybe it's got a lot of traffic today, but I would say less than 10 seconds every time I've asked for something.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we get that Copilot app? Is it available through the App Store or?
Yes, so it depends on what kind of computer you're using.
Yeah.
I have a Microsoft system on this computer,
Yeah.
so I use that one.
Me too.
I have used
Me? Oh, look at that.
good enough. I mean, it's not great. It's good enough.
It's great. It's terrific.
I love that. I know that Pacific Coast Highway.
And they took out the other steering wheel.
Oh, right, right,
Say
right,
they took
Yeah.
out the other steering.
I heard us talking.
Pacific Coast Highway squirrel. I'm saving this one too. You'll see these again. All right, so let me just stop the share on that and answer Martin's question. So, lots of fun with that. You can have just tons of fun. I have used let's see, Google called it Bard at first, now it's Gemini. I have used Gemini as well. Gemini is a lot pickier about pictures. That's the one that absolutely had some very stringent rules about making pictures. And so I kind of quit using it because its rules were too stringent. And obviously, I wasn't trying to be racist in my questions. I was trying to actually create diverse pictures, but it was reading it like I was going to do something negative. And so I appreciate the fact that Google was being more stringent, and Google was much slower out of the gate to make public their artificial intelligence programs. ChatGPT was the first one that came out, made it wildly, let people make all kinds of mistakes. There's crazy articles about insane things that it had told people. And that was where we talked about the hallucinations, where it would just say this nutty stuff. And one of them, a really classic one, was it told a guy to leave his wife. That's how crazy it was, right? So, and Google was like, we're going to proceed a little more cautiously and slowly before we let the public just play with this stuff. And so I can appreciate that. And when you get a new iPhone, it comes with ChatGPT automatically. It's just on there. But you can explore any of the programs. I found Copilot to be fairly useful. So I am going to now show you, let me go to pulling up the right one, and we're going to share the screen, and let me pause. All right, pause. This is one I can't remember, and neither could Linda, if I've showed you this before, but we'll just see. You tell me if you've seen this before.
You had us do spoonbills, I remember on our first AI class.
Yes. So can you see the screen with the statue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Look at how much better that got. It used to be that it didn't do eyes well. It didn't do blinking well. But this is taking classic statues of famous people, King Tut here, and making it into a modern day real person. This one here, Aristotle, watch how the wind blows his hair. Is it this one or is the next one? Oh, it must be the next one. Yeah, it's this one. Look at the movement in the hair. I mean, that was pretty good. But trying to imagine what these people would have looked like is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Caesar Augustus,
Wow.
really brings them to
Wow.
life. Yeah.
Oh,
It's and the eyes, very good on that. So in this case, I think it's really helpful to be able to imagine what people would have looked like. I don't think they would have been as friendly. I think that's definitely putting modern day cultural,
Yeah.
friendliness to them. I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't live back then. But I think it's also kind of meant to be a little bit whimsical in doing this. but it's cool. I like it. Look at the hair.
Little Beethoven.
Yeah. Darwin. I think this person really got off on how much they could make wind look realistic, because they did that with hair a lot.
The way Lincoln looked straight up in the,
Yeah.
straight up there.
And this is obviously making people look very pretty. You know, this made them all very, very attractive individuals. So, you know, what good is that? It was amusing, gave us a little bit of a smile. Thank you, Linda, for sharing that with me. But the other thing is, the other night I watched a David Attenborough special. It was David Attenborough traveling the world or something, and it was just a little clip of it. And they used AI in the British Museum of Natural History to make dinosaurs come to life. And what they did with it was take what they had. For instance, you know, there's always been a question, what color are dinosaurs? And what was their skin actually like? Well, there are
Tell
some.
Carlene we can see whatever she's doing in her bathroom.
Is that where she is? Carlene, we're in your bathroom with you. Not sure. That's she's got pointing straight up. I
She
guess
stepped
is
out
in
of the
bathroom.
picture.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Hi,
artificial
Carlene.
intelligence.
Thanks, Linnell. So, you know, they have a mummified piece of a dinosaur leg that had the skin attached. And so they have been able to put all of that information and create an incredibly realistic look at what dinosaurs were really like. And David Attenborough in this thing is interacting with the dinosaur. He's way up high on this second story in the museum, holding a branch for the dinosaur to eat from. And it's just fascinating, the applications for science and how we can figure out things that have happened. You know, and is that useful? Probably. One of the things that he looked at also was the dodo bird. And all they have for information about the dodo bird is, excuse me, what was written about them. You have a very funny cat, Andy. And just paintings of dodo birds, which we don't even know if they were accurate or not. That cat is persistent. Persistent. That was not intentional, it just came out. So I'm sorry. There goes the cat again. You know, so that is useful, really useful stuff. I'm going to look at let me go back to a share. This should be an easy switch over share. Let me close this and see if we can get you to the next one. So no, not that one. Okay, here's an article about, so this is kind of backing up on what we were talking about what's real and what's not real. And this was a quiz that we had taken in the past. If you don't remember it, I'm going to share it with you again, so you can take it, so you can just, you know, click the little link and see whether or not it was real and play. All right, this is from Virginia Tech. This article, are you seeing this picture?
Yes.
Good, the bad, and the scary. I actually came across this article after I named what we were going to talk about today, so I think it's kind of interesting. This is an article by a bunch of people, so each one's perspective, somebody who is a mechanical engineer, and they ask the question, what's the good, what's the bad, and what's the scary about it? And they all have slightly different opinions of it. What's useful, what's not useful, what's a real problem with it. So I'm going to be sharing this with you. I think that's really, really useful information. The other thing, no, I don't want to subscribe. The other thing that we talked about was the amount of electricity it uses. This is a very nerdy article from a cooling company. But what they're talking about is these data centers, also known as data farms, where large amounts of data are used, and what the environmental toll is. And I was trying to find that statistic that Linnell had said in the beginning of how much one query actually uses. But what the thing that, in terms of electricity, but one of the things that was really disturbing about this, and this does talk about the future and ways to lessen the impact, very useful, but the amount of water that it uses is astronomical. And it's something, and it's in this article, but it's something like the amount of water used in one day in a data center is the same amount for a city of 50,000 people.
Wow.
We have a water crisis in many places on the planet. So having these data centers that are using up electricity and water is a real problem for human beings. And so the people who use ChatGPT don't even know this for the most part, don't have any idea. So I did, and I thought it was kind of interesting, excuse me, to see when I asked Google for good and bad of AI. And I wanted it to tell on itself, right? And so when I do this, all right, you see this little diamond here? This is Gemini, okay? This is the Google AI telling me about AI. And that's where I actually got this article from Virginia Tech. But it talks about in very short form, kind of does the Cliff Notes, what are all the useful parts of it? How does it help? Definitely helps in healthcare. What is it bad about? Job displacement, we talked about that. Privacy concerns, some ethical dilemmas. I'm hoping that this one didn't particularly talk about environment. So I would have to ask a different question. But notice that each of these has a link attached. So I can click on a link and it's going to come over here and it's going to give me 3 articles, or more than that, give me several articles that I can further research. So that's a huge improvement, that it is now giving me opportunities to go and see the original place that they found this, I call it like it's a person, where they found the original information, good and bad of AI in the environment. If I could spell. And so then it says how it can positively impact the environment. So things that it can do for it. However, let's get to the bad, is energy consumption, carbon emissions, e-waste. The hardware actually, breaks down over time, and then you've got all of this trash. What do you do with that? So anytime you ask a question in Google, you can automatically get an AI overview, which is AI talking to you. Going a little bit further, there's lots of other articles that I can look at and see what is the environmental impact and get some more information there about that. All right, Medina joined us. Good
Yeah,
morning.
did I miss anything? I'm sorry.
Not at all.
You're an hour late.
I don't know, my alarm didn't go off and a spam phone call woke me up.
Yay,
Well,
spam.
Yeah,
You can catch it all up on the YouTube video. We have been recording.
I
We
will,
had some
I
fun
will.
here.
I will.
So, any thoughts, comments? There's a lot of information about it. We can't escape it at this point, unless you just decide to totally be offline and go live in the woods off grid. You literally cannot escape AI. I think that our job is to stay informed about it, to practice good judgment in terms of recognizing, is this real or is this not real? Anytime we get things like emails, those still are not per se AI. AI is a program that people use to create something else, right? So if you're getting a spam, that's could be a computer generated in terms of like robocalls, where you're getting it's calling multiples all at once, which is much more efficient, and that's happening, but it's not actually AI that's making the call. It's a different kind of program. AI is artificial intelligence, which learns, called through machine learning, by going through all of the data available basically in the world and coming up with a response to it. It feels very lifelike these days. Linnell had made a joke about how much energy it costs to say thank you. And I can remember back when Scott first got Siri on his phone and he would say thank you. I'm like, why are you thinking that? It's not a person. Well, I just like to be polite, It has already kind of trained him that, when a voice gives information that he asks for, he should say thank you.
I say thank you to Siri, and she usually says, "Oh, no problem," or "You're welcome."
If she's under 40.
And that does go to the issue that Terry was talking about with teenagers seeking feedback and input on their appearance from an artificial intelligence rather than a human being, rather than connecting with human beings. And that's good and bad, right? There are many people who are lonely, and that's a useful thing for them. It makes them feel less lonely. That's a good thing. If it keeps people from interacting with other human beings, that's a bad thing. If it's a replacement for.
Wasn't there a movie about that? About some guy that gets like romantically involved with his
Yeah, it's terrible.
with Siri, not Siri, but his
What was it called, Terry?
No, I don't. I said it's terrible, but I remembered that movie. But I
See you
couldn't
next
watch
week.
it.
I gotta go. Ciao.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
We gotta go. Does anybody have any burning issues that they would like to address next week? Terry.
About Google, and particularly just a couple different things that I've noticed lately is it asks me for permission for all these things that I do all the time. Like it asks, and then it notifies John sometimes that somebody entered the Google account. That's happened sometimes, and just maybe in general about, yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you something the rest of the week because it was more particular than that. Yeah.
All right. So we'll look at some settings in regards to that, permissions and settings. Joyce.
Should I use ChatGPT to organize my trip north, or should I continue to rely on?
Well, Linnell has inspired me because first time that it came up to say, oh, use it for travel, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But now I'm intrigued and I am going to check it out. Try both. Try both. See what it comes up with, because you can refine it. Like she said, she asked for very specific cultural this, cultural that. And artificial intelligence is training us too, train my husband to say thank you. It trained her to ask better questions or more detailed questions. Trained me with the squirrel, I didn't expect just a squirrel in a car. I thought I had envisioned in my brain, but I didn't communicate that vision. And so it only gave me what I asked for. So kind of cool. And it teaches us to be more clear in our speaking as well.
How do I find the YouTube? How do I get to
It'll come in the email. Comes in every email.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And Betsy, we're still going to, talk about Facebook, TikTok, and all that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is there very specifics about Facebook and TikTok, because it's a huge topic, and tell me what you want.
Yeah, just general.
Okay. Think about it a minute and email me.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Good
guys.
class.
Have a great week.